Hey everyone, it's Sarah and welcome to my crochet channel. Are you ready for some football? Today's video I'm going to show you how to make this fuzzy, squishy, soft football pillow. It measures about 11 inches long and about 9 inches across, so it's a really fun size. It's a great gift for Father's Day. It's also a great gift for anybody who loves football. And the kids will like it too because they can play with it outside, sure, but they can throw it around the house and it's not going to destroy anything because it's really squishy. So this is super fun to make, super fun to give. And even though I've made them in this brown color, you can make them in any of your favorite football team's colors. This is a free crochet pattern on my blog, and you can find that blog link down in the notes underneath this video. To make a football, you're going to need about 3 ounces of a blanket yarn. Now, I used the Bernat blanket yarn. It's a bulky, super bulky number 6, and I used about 3 ounces, and the color is called taupe. And I like this color just because it's a little bit lighter and you'll be able to see my stitches. But of course you can use any color of the Bernat blanket yarn, super bulky number 6. Now, if you want to make it out of a different type of yarn, you're still going to need it to be a bulky number 6 in order for it to turn out this size. You're going to need a small amount of blanket yarn in the white or cream because we sew stitches on the front and the back. Now, I didn't add any stripes on the sides just because I didn't really care for the way that it looked, but you can add them if you want to. That's totally up to you. I like it just like this with the stitches. Kind of has an old-timey feel to it. We're going to be stitching with our end hook, and this end hook is a 9.00 millimeter end hook. You'll also need a needle with a nice big eye because you'll need to weave those ends in, and you'll also need to be able to get this bulky number 6 white yarn so that we can sew those stripes on, like I said, or those stitches I mean. And the other thing you'll need is your scissors. And then, of course, the last thing you'll need is some stuffing. And I'm going to say you're going to need 2 big handfuls of stuffing. I don't know how many ounces that is because I don't know how big your hands are. Just kidding. You're just going to need a couple of good size handfuls of stuffing. I'm using polyester fiber fill that I picked up at my local Walmart. And it's up to you how much stuffing you want to put inside your football. If you want it to be nice and tight, you can add more. If you want it to be soft and squishy like mine, you can add less. We're going to be starting in the center of our football and working around, and then we'll do the shape on the last row, row 4, and you're going to need to make 2 of these. This is one I've already got done, and I'll show you how to make another one. We'll be making 2 and then putting them together for a pillow. We're going to begin with our slip knot, and we're going to chain 5. The first 3 chains will count as 1 double crochet, and we're going to stitch 9 double crochets in the 4th chain from the hook. Yarn over, go in the 4th chain, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through the first 2, yarn over, and go through the second 2. All right, and now we got 2 because our chain 3 counted as our first, so we need to stitch 8 more, so we'll have a total of 10 double crochets. There's 4. 6, and it's going to be a tight fit. This should be 9. And our last one, but we'll count just to make sure. All right, so here's our chain 3. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I have 10 double crochets stitched in the 4th chain from the hook, counting that chain 3. We're going to join to the top of our chain 3 with a slip stitch and chain 3. All right, now you might have a hole in the center, and what you can do is take that great big needle with the big hole in it, thread the tail of yarn on there, move the hook out of the way there, and this is the back side of my work, and I'm just going to go through these stitches and pull that tail through, and that'll close that up. And I usually go a little bit more just because I want it to stay put. There we go. And now that hole is closed, and this is the front side. We can go ahead and clip that tail off, even though it is going to be on the inside of our pillow. And this is how row 1 should look. 10 double crochets, join to the top of the chain 3 and chain 3. If you would have preferred to do the magic circle here, you certainly can. You need to always do what works best for you. All right, now for row 2, we're going to place 1 double crochet in the same stitch as our chain 3. And then we're going to place 2 double crochets in each of the double crochets around. And since we started with 10 double crochets in row 1, row 2 is going to have 20 double crochets. Guess I better get some more yarn out here. Alrighty, let me get that second double crochet in there. And so what we're doing for row 2 is we're stitching 2 double crochets in each of those 10 double crochets around, and then we'll join to the top of our chain 3. Now, when you're working with blanket yarn, sometimes it's difficult to find your stitches. And so what I try to do is follow where those braids or loops are. There'll be 2 loops on the top of my stitches. And that helps me find where to put my next stitches. We want to stitch this pillow just a little bit snug because we don't want the stuffing to come out. And so the stitches might be a little bit tight. And so that's why it's good to follow those braids or stitches on the top of the stitches of the previous row, and it will help you to find where to put your stitches. All right, so I'm going to continue stitching around here, making sure I have 20 double crochets for row 2. I've completed those 20 stitches around, stitching 2 double crochets in each of the 10. I'm going to join to the top of my chain 3 and chain 3. And row 3 is pretty much the same as row 2. Our chain 3 counts as our first double crochet, and we'll place 1 double crochet in the same stitch as that chain 3. And then we'll place 2 double crochets in each of the 20 double crochets around. And so since we're placing 2 in each stitch, we're going to go from 20 to 40 double crochets. So I am working 2 double crochets in each of the 20 double crochets around, and we'll go from having 20 double crochets to having 40 double crochets around. You may notice that your circle is a little bit puckered. It's okay. That's exactly what we want this pattern to do. And it's because we're trying to stitch a little bit tighter so that we don't have open spaces between our stitches, that the stuffing will come out. I'm going to continue working around for row 3, stitching 2 double crochets in each of the double crochets around, and then I'll join back to my chain 3. I've completed row 3, stitching 2 double crochets in each double crochet around, and I now have 40 double crochets. I'm going to join to the top of my chain 3 with a slip stitch, and for this row I'm only going to chain 1. And on this row we're going to form the edges of our football. So we're going to begin with doing 1 slip stitch in the next 3 stitches. Slip stitch, you put your hook in, pull it out, pull that loop through the loop on your hook. So there's 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to place 1 single crochet in the next 2 stitches. 1, 2. Now we're going to place 1 half double crochet in the next 2 stitches. We're going to place 1 double crochet in the next 2 stitches. Now in this next stitch, we're going to place 3 double crochets, all in the same stitch. And you can begin to see the shape of the football forming. Now we're going to move down this side and we're going to do what we did here in reverse. So we'll place 1 double crochet in the next 2 stitches. 1 and 2. We'll place 1 half double crochet in the next 2 stitches. 1 single crochet in the next 2 stitches. And see how we worked back down, and here's the top of our football point, and we worked up and then we worked down. Now we're going to place 1 slip stitch in the next 7 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And this brings us to the other end of our football. And we're going to repeat what we did on this end on this end. So we'll place 1 single crochet in the next 2 stitches. 1 half double crochet in the next 2 stitches. Double crochet in the next 2 stitches. I've got a little knot there. I'll have to come back and fix that. We'll just slide that out of the way for now. Now we'll go in the next stitch and stitch 3 double crochets. That brought us to the point of our football, and now we'll just work back down. 1 double crochet in the next 2, 1 half double crochet in the next 2, 1 single crochet in the next 2, 1 and 2, and then we'll slip stitch in these last 4 stitches. Oops, almost tried to do a single crochet. 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right, now here's our first slip stitch, so we're going to go right in there. I'm going to get my hook in there. I stitched it kind of tight. There we go. And we'll join that with a slip stitch. Now, the first one that you did, here's ours one we just did, we're going to leave the yarn attached. The first one that we did, we cut it off and we weaved in the end over here. Now, because we're going to sew them together, we're not going to cut the yarn on this last one, and we'll put the two together and I'll show you how to sew it together to form the football. To make the football, you need 2 pieces like we just made. One we tied off, this one we did not, our yarn is still attached. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the first one, turn it so that the right side is out. Then we'll take the other one and put it on top so the right side is out. And you've got both your wrong sides together. All right? And what you need to do is find those 3 double crochets and make sure they're lined up with the 3 double crochets here. And what I do is I just take a needle and stick it just like that. Then I'll do the other side. Here's my 3. Here's the 3 on this one, because we want them to be lined up in order for the shape of, oh, there it is, the shape of the football. All right, now we're going to begin stitching the football together using single crochets, and we're going to leave an opening over here to stuff it. So I've got my yarn here. I'm going to do a chain 1 just to get me up on top of where I need to be. And now we're going to begin stitching. So we'll go in the first stitch here and the first stitch on this side. There we go. And again, your stitches are going to be tight, so be prepared for that. And stitch a single crochet. And your stitches should all line up because we've stitched the front and the back of our football exactly the same. So I'm going through the front and the back and stitching single crochets. We're stitching single crochets, working up to the point of the football where we have stitched those 3 double crochets in the same stitch. Oops, there we go. All right, I'm going to go ahead and take this needle out so it's not in my way. I want to make sure those 3 are together. And when you get to the middle double crochet of those 3, here's the 3 here, here's the 3 on this side, got them all lined up. There's the first double crochet of the 3, and here's the 3 together. When you stitch in the top of that middle double crochet, place 2 single crochets in that stitch, and that's just going to give you a little extra stitch in there to help with the shaping of our football. All right, so now we're just going to work down this other side, stitching the front and the back together with single crochets. We'll work down till we reach that other point. And I want to show you how that looks. Here's the 3, here's the 2 we did together, and so you've got a nice shape on your football. So I'm going to continue working down this side till I reach this other point, stitching the front to the back with single crochet stitches. I've stitched up the side of my football, and I'm to the point. I've stitched in that first double crochet, so now I'm in that second one, and I'm going to stitch 2 single crochets. Again, it helps with shaping the shape of our football, and I'm in that last double crochet of those 3 together, and now we're going to stitch down the side. Now, one thing to remember is you're going to need to leave an opening for stuffing. All right, so I'm just going to go a little bit. There we go. I'm going to pull my loop kind of big. That way it's not going to come undone. And now I can stuff my football. Now again, it's up to you how much stuffing you want to put inside your football. What I do is I take a little bit and I stuff it to the first corner. Then I'll take another little handful, and stuff it to the other corner. Then I'll take a little more and sort of stuff it to the back of the football. And then I'll just stuff a little more. That's why I say about 2 good size handfuls will fill your football up. One thing to remember is if you overstuff your football, it's going to pull your stitches apart, and you might see some of your stuffing showing through. So keep that in mind when you're stuffing. Another thing that you can do is use some fabric and make a pillow form for your football by tracing around your football and sewing it closed and stuffing that inside the football pillow. It's up to you how you want to do that. All right, so let's finish up our football by closing up that opening. Just stitching single crochets front and back. Till we meet back up with where we started. There we go. One more stitch. I think part of it is it's so tight because we did slip stitches on the sides, and you know slip stitches can be tight. All right, there's my last single crochet. I'm going to join to the first one with a slip stitch and tie that off. All right, move my scissors over here. And then I'm going to go over here and I'm going to pull that loop to this side just to make it look prettier and tie that off. All right, so here's my football. And I'm going to grab one of these needles and I'm going to weave this end in, and then I'll show you how to add those football stitches. So here are how the stitches should look, and you're going to do it on the front and the back. All right. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4 rows, and we're going to go in at the 4th row between the 3rd and 4th row, and you're just going to eyeball it, line it up in a straight line. So here I've got my white yarn about 18 inches threaded on my big needle. All right, so we're going to pull it out and we're going to leave just a little bit of a tail. We'll go right in and we'll hold that tail so it doesn't go in yet. And we're going to stitch up. Now, you don't want to pull your stitches too tight because you might lose them in the football. And the other thing is when they're playing with it, you don't want them too loose. So you're going to have to kind of judge that. And I go down and I come back up, and you're basically making what's called straight stitches in embroidery. And you do want to try, that one went too far, so we're going to pull that out. There we go. You want to try to get your stitches for your stitches in the stitches and not the holes between, or you'll have what just happened there. It slid forward. So I'm going to go right in a stitch, There we go. That's better. All right, I'm going to make one more. Try to go through a stitch. So what I did is I made the line first. And then you can look at it and see if it's how you like it. All right. Now I'm going to come back in and make the side stitches. And I like to try to put them over the seam, but I also try to get them in a stitch so you don't lose them into the stitching of the football. And the length is up to you, the width is up to you. It's just however you want to do it. And I really just eyeball it. I don't measure. You can measure if you want to. I just sort of eyeball it. And again, you want to try to go through the stitches themselves and not the holes. And the amount of stitches, again, is up to you. The width is up to you. You can do it however you see fit. All right, I'm just kind of going for a vintage look, but you can do it however you want. Now, I'm coming back up here where we started. I'm looking at my stitches. This one's a little crooked, but I still like it okay. My grandson, I don't think will mind too much. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to take these two tails of yarn and we're going to tie them in a knot. 1, 2, you know I like 3 knots. 3. I'm going to go ahead and cut this. And then I'm going to take my hook and I'm going to go down inside the football and pull those to the inside, just like that. All right, so there is our stitching. These are a little bit longer than the ones I did here. It's kind of up to you how you want to do it. So here are the 2 footballs, all ready to be given for Father's Day or for a gift. It'd be great to make a blanket and add this pillow for a gift or whatever you want to use it for. And remember, they're great for kids to play indoors because they won't destroy your furniture. Have fun making some footballs.